Hey, book nerds. Welcome to Book Talk, where we talk about books and whatever else pops into my mind. Today, we are going to be talking about 5 books that influenced my reading into a particular genre that you probably, I'm not saying 100%, but probably have never heard of. And maybe it will give you some inspiration or maybe some thoughts about what book to read next, or perhaps what book to read to get into a certain genre. We are also going to be talking about some tea that we need to spill about Audible. So make sure you stick around until then, because I would really love to know your thoughts and your comments kind of about Audible's new structuring policy and how you feel about it. Let's get into it. All right, the first book I have is called All the Queen's Men by Linda Howard. This book was written in 1999. Now, look, I know Linda Howard is not an unfamiliar author, so a lot of you have probably heard of Linda Howard. She writes amazing books. This particular book is the book that got me started into the genre of kind of stronger female characters in kind of the main role and kind of taking a more active role in the action, in the plot, in the intrigue of the book. So I have been an avid reader for as long as I can remember. I have loved reading. My first books, obviously, as we all know, when we are young and at home and our parents are teaching us, how to read in these little books, and I blew through those. So by the time I started school, I was reading way above my grade level, and so it was difficult for me to stay engaged at school. And so I was constantly at the library and checking out books that were not, okay, look, I was just checking out books that were probably not age appropriate when I was not at an age that I should have been checking out these books. Whatevs. Anyway, so a lot of my teenage years were not spent reading The Babysitter's Club and Judy Blume or whatever. My teenage years were spent reading the buxom woman with the Fabio golden locked man on the front, where the man was the alpha man and the woman was distressed and in need of saving. And that was a lot of the kind of romance and the type of books that were at the time what was available at my library for me to read as far as romance. And so those were the books that I was used to reading in the romance genre. Well, this book right here, and actually, to be fair, I kind of had a period of time there where I stopped reading in the romance genre and I was reading other things. And so when I came back, like I said, this came out in 1999. And so this book kind of got me started back into kind of the female taking on those really strong female main character roles. So this book is about a woman. She is in the FBI. She's a communications specialist. And her husband, who is also in the FBI, are on a mission, and things go south, and her husband ends up dying in the line of duty. And she's obviously devastated. And so she kind of steps away from that life to try and heal and to grieve and to kind of get over what has happened, but is pulled back into that world of intrigue and things like that by a man who is very well known but not known at all. He's kind of a ghost. Nobody knows really who he is. He does so much undercover work that nobody really knows who the real person is. They only know him by his undercover name and his undercover work. And so she happens to know him from her past and this work that her and her husband did before he was obviously killed. And so when he comes back into her life and asks her to go undercover with him to try and take down this really top level drug dealer and arms dealer, he's a really bad guy, and they really need somebody who can infiltrate his network and who can work with them to try and take him down. And so they end up going in undercover and working together to try and take down this really bad man. And of course, there's lots of action, lots of intrigue. She is very strong-willed. She's very independent. She is a very strong female main character. But in the end, they get together. There's lots of tension, slow burn, romance, that type of thing. And I really, really love this. I have read this book dozens of times. I love this book. This book actually got me into this genre where I started reading. I actually started reading Christine Feehan and her Ghostwalker series, which is another series that has a lot of very strong female main characters. And from there, I actually started reading Sherilyn Kenyon, her series, they also have a lot of very strong female main characters. And so this book kind of got me into those books where the leads, the female characters, are very much involved in the action, in the plots, and very much have a role to play, and their characters are very multi-dimensional, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that genre, and this is the book that helped bring me there. Okay, the next book I have for you is called The Corset Diaries, and this is by Katie McAllister. This book was written in 2004. And I would consider this to be a chick lit book. But this book is kind of what got me into not really the chick lit space per se, but more of the female main characters that are not perfect. They're not svelte. They're not beautiful. They're not thin. They're not perfect by any means. They're just themselves. And being themselves is perfectly okay. And they still get their man, and they don't compromise who they are. They don't change themselves. They are who they are, and everyone else can kiss their behinds if they don't like it. And they still end up with their happily ever after. So this book is about a woman who decides to go to a reality TV show where they are going to live like they're in Bridgerton, basically. So there's no TV, no internet, no phones, no modern medicine, nothing. Like they're all living as if they were in like the 1800s, like Bridgerton era, whatever. And so she is in a corset all day long. She's in, these very fluffy, flouncy dresses, and she she struggles. She's not your typical female main character. She's plus size. She is she's very much herself in this book. This is the first book I ever read where I laughed so hard I cried. I wheezed. I remember reading this book in the bathtub, and I was laughing so hard. I was doubled over. I had to get out of the bathtub because I thought I was going to drown myself. This book is hysterical. Anyway, she is who she is, and the male main character is an actual duke. They're filming this in England. He's an actual duke who's also playing a duke in this reality show, and so they're obviously filming together in this setting, and so they spend a lot of time together, and it's such a cute book, but it's so funny. The situations that she gets herself into are laugh out loud hysterical. I died. This was one of the funniest books I've ever read. This book got me into authors like Janet Evanovich, who writes the Stephanie Plum books. Those are also hysterical books, so funny. Again, female main character is not perfect. She has flaws and quirks and doesn't care if you don't like it. Abby Jimenez, I believe is how you say her last name, also writes kind of your chick lit books with female main characters that we can all relate to. They're not perfect. They are who they are. And in being themselves, they still end up with their happily ever afters. And so this is the book that got me started into that type of genre. All right, next we have Heartmate by Robin Owens. This book was written in 2004, and this is the book that got me started into futuristic other planet romance. This book is set on a futuristic planet that does not exist. It has psychic abilities, and that is how you are placed in their society. The stronger your psychic ability, the higher in society that you rank. And the males of the society are the ones that are responsible for finding their mate, their heart mate. And so they are to, this book in particular is it's the first book in this series. So this is a series. I believe there are 8 books in this series. And this starts off with a lot of world building, a lot of context so that you can understand what is going on with psychic abilities, what that means, what a heartmate means. She does an excellent job of all of this, of writing this book so that you understand context and what is going on, so that you feel like this is believable, so that you feel like you're immersed in this world and you're a part of what's going on. So our male main character has created a necklace and has imbued it with some of his psychic ability that will, the intention is that it will call to his heartmate and it will call her to him. And it does. Our female main character, who hardly has any psychic ability at all, and so is considered very, very low in their society, is drawn to the necklace. But because she is so low in their society, she doesn't want anything to do with him or his necklace or anything to do with being his heartmate because he is so high in society. And she doesn't want any part of his place there. And so this is them trying to bridge their differences and that gap that they have in their standing and coming together. It's a wonderful book. All of the books in this whole series are wonderful. We get introduced to amazing characters. It's an amazing world building, and it was a fantastic series. So this is the book that introduced me again to authors like Christine Feehan and her Ghostwalker and her what is it, Dark Ones series, with the psychic abilities, the kind of not of this world type romance. And Ruby Dixon is another one. She is the author of Ice Planet Barbarians. Again, we have another world. We have different abilities. We have futuristic type romance. So this is the book that got me started in that. Okay, our next one is Final Girls by Riley Sager. You may have heard of Riley Sager. He is a very popular author in this kind of suspenseful drama type genre. However, this book in particular, Final Girls, is the one that got me into the Final Girls genre. So this book is about a girl who went camping or on vacation with her friends, and a complete massacre took place. All of her friends died. She was the only one that survived. And so now it's 5 years later, and she is part of what the media call the Final Girls Club. And there's 2 others that are in this club with her. Both other girls have survived terrible experiences where there's been awful murders, and they have been the only survivor. And so they are part of this Final Girls Club. And one by one, the other girls are killed and are murdered. And there's only 2 of them left. And so they get together and try to figure out what is going on and why the others are being killed and what is it about their past that is coming back to haunt them. And I really liked this book. There is a lot of mystery, a lot of tension, a lot of almost psychology type writing in this book, where you have this female main character and she is a strong, independent character, but at the same time, she's very fragile because of what she's gone through. And so there's this juxtaposition between she's trying so hard to move on, but she can't because the past keeps pulling her backwards. And it just won't let go of her. It just won't let her move on in her life. And so she's forced to go back to her past and figure out what is going on. And this book, I was really intrigued by the psychology of the final girl. And so this is the book that got me started in it and got me reading that kind of tension, that mystery, but kind of psychological mystery. Authors like Frida McFadden, Sarah Pierce, Grady Hendrix, Simone St. James. Those are all really great authors that take psychology and tension and mystery and write these really, really great books there where you can feel kind of the mental challenge and the mental instability of these traumatic events as they try and work through them. And I really enjoyed that. And so this is the book that got me started in that genre. I was really, really hoping that my special edition for this book would be here by now, but it is not. And so we will just do my Kindle. That's fine. This last and final book is called Dead of Summer by A.J. Merlin. This book was released just last year in 2024. And this is the book that got me started into stalker, masked men, non-con, very, very bad, bad men need love to romance. This book is about a camp counselor. She's an adult, obviously, but she goes to this camp every year as a camp counselor to help. The owner is a friend of the family, and so she goes every year to be a camp counselor along with her best friend. They both go every summer. And while she is there one night, she is out kind of doing a patrol of the woods to make sure that all of the campers are tucked in safe and sound, and sees a masked man with an axe. And you might be thinking to yourself, why did she not run away and tell somebody? Or why did she not take out her phone and call the police? Because of course there's no cell service, so let's not get cheeky. But she doesn't. Instead, she decides to confront him and ask, what are you doing? Why do you have an axe? Please don't hurt anybody. I know it sounds ridiculous, but in the book, it's awesome. So anyway, they have this confrontation. He decides that he's completely fascinated and intrigued with her and says, I'll make a deal with you. I won't kill anyone. I won't go serial killer on this summer camp if you agree that you will do whatever I want you to. You will agree to whatever I say. And of course, she's thinking of all the kids and all, her best friend who's a counselor as well. And she just is like, okay, fine. Just don't, you have to promise that you're not going to kill anybody. And so he's like, okay, I won't kill anybody, but you have to do what I say. And so, of course, things happen. And of course, what he wants is her. And oh my gosh, so I don't know if you can even see it because this is not I wish I had my special edition so you could see it. It was the cover that intrigued me first. I thought this was going to be a horror novel because you can kind of see from the cover that it looks like it's going to be a horror novel. I read horror. I actually enjoy horror. And so that's what I thought it was going to be. And it wasn't. It wasn't. It was different, but I still loved it. Like this is the first book that I had ever read where you don't know who this man is. Like he wears a mask. This is not a dual point of view. This is only her point of view. So we never know what's going through his mind. We only know that he is a masked figure who is a serial killer, who is a very bad person, but we still are somehow like rooting for him, and we still think he's totally hot, and we still just are like, oh my gosh, you are just, please come to my room. You don't even have to show me your face. Like, just stalk me, please. Like, I love her writing style. She has other books. She's a very, very good writer. This is the first book I read from her. I've now read all of them, but this was the first book I read from her. And this was the book that got me into this genre. Think Navessa Allen. Who else has that stalkery? Okay, that's why I couldn't remember the names. So think Navessa Allen, H.D. Carlton, K.A. Knight, those very dark, romantic, stalker, like bad, bad men. But oh, aren't they scrummy? Dead of Summer is what got me into that genre. All right. Hopefully that gave you some inspiration on maybe some authors or some books to read to get you maybe introduced or into some different book genres. I don't know if you had ever heard of any of those books or not, but those were definitely the books that got me started into some of those book genres that I know and love today. Okay, so this video has already gone over time, so let's just really quickly talk about Audible and their new kind of structuring and the way that they're doing things. So I actually didn't know that this had happened. I was watching a YouTube video and just stumbled across this, and now I don't really know how to feel about it. So definitely let me know what you guys think about this. So Audible is obviously, the go-to subscription system where you can get books to listen to, audiobooks to listen to. I'm a Premium Plus member. I listen to a lot of audiobooks when I am in my car, when I'm doing chores, when I'm, working out in the yard, whatever. I've always got earbuds in my ear. I'm always listening to an audiobook. Audible obviously is an Amazon company, and so what they have done is they have restructured the royalty system as to how authors are now getting paid. So how it works is if you are a Premium Plus member, you receive 1 credit every month for I believe it's $14.99 a month that you pay. You get 1 credit that you can then spend on any book of your choosing that is in their system. And then you also get access to an entire library of books free. So, for example, I just got done listening to The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. It was not something that I spent one of my credits on. It was just part of the Premium Plus library in Audible. So I was able to listen to it for free because I am a member and I get access to that library. Hopefully that makes sense. So you can listen to as many books as you want from the Premium Plus library. So for me, because I don't spend a ton of time in my car or with my earbuds in, I will maybe get through 1 or 2 books a month. So what happens is that now when I take my credit and I purchase a book, let's say I purchase a book from Sarah J. Maas. I purchased that book for $10. We're just going to make that up. She gets, you would think that she would get the complete amount of royalty from that purchase because I used my credit to buy her book. But that is not how it works on Audible anymore. She receives 50% of the royalty split between her and however many books were listened to in that month out of the Premium Plus library. So if I listened to 2 books for free out of this library, and then I bought my book by Sarah J. Maas, she would receive 50% or 20%, or I don't know what the royalty fee breakdown is for Audible authors. Whatever her royalty is, I'm just going with 50% because it's easy to understand. She would receive 50% split between 2 other authors. So she would end up with 50 divided by 3. So it's her and then 2 others from the Premium Plus library split 3 ways. Does that make sense? I hope I'm explaining that correctly. So let's say that you are a Premium Plus member and you listen to a whole bunch of audiobooks. Like say you travel for work or something. So you're in the car like all month and you listen to 20 audiobooks for free. And then you use your credit to buy a book, at the end of the month or whatever. Well, now your book credit doesn't go, now that author is getting a royalty that's divided 20 times because you listened to 20 free audiobooks. And so I feel like if you are an author and you are under, like if I was an author of a book and like I wanted to get my book out there and Audible came to me and said, we will accept your book in our Premium Plus library. It will be free for the first 90 days and then it will be available for purchase or for credit for whatever, $14.99. And I understood that my book was going to be free for the first 90 days. I would not expect to be paid for that for the first 90 days until my book was actually being purchased as like with a credit or with money. I would not expect as an author to receive any royalty from that. Like if my book was in a free library, I would not expect anything because I know that that's part of my marketing. Like I know that that's part of, I have to get my book out there. I have to get the word out. I have to get people listening to it. It's just like sending out ARCs. It's just like sending out free books to people to read. Hey, can you please review this for me to get the word out? Hey, it's all part of the marketing thing, right? So you get your book out there and you understand that you're not going to be receiving royalties right away. It's going to take time for that to happen. Then you can start putting your book out for purchase. And so I feel like if the books are free in a free library, then those authors maybe shouldn't expect to receive any royalties. And the book that I am purchasing with my credit, or if I happen to purchase it for cash that month because I already used my credit, whatever, that author should receive the money that I gave it. Does that make sense? Like I know Amazon is getting probably the majority of the royalty because they're a big business and that's what it is. But I would expect for the book author to get the majority of the money that I'm paying. I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Do you think it's fair? What other audiobook systems do you guys use? I've heard there's Chirp. I know there's Kobo. I know there's a bunch of different systems out there. I've only ever used Audible, so I don't know how the other ones really work, if they're worth it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'd love to know your opinions on this. If you guys think it's fair, if this is just big business at work, if this is, this is just life and authors they just roll with it because this is what they're expecting. I'm not an author, so I don't know, but anyway, thank you for joining me for another episode of Book Talk. I love our book talks. It is so much fun, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.